Hello, sisters. Okay, we've gotten so far into the book now that I can hold it with one hand and let the other half sit on the table because we've gotten more than halfway through. You see, this is what's left. Um, okay, so when I was reading the essay, I didn't think ahead about this is the first time in the book that we've been thrown stats. Um, and I didn't really have a plan because as you guys know, I don't pre-read anything, right? Um, I didn't really know what to do, so I just started reading them out, and then there was, one page where, every sentence had, stats in it, and I was, reading out all of this, P is less than, more than, T minus, whatever, and I was like, "Holy shit, I don't know what I'm saying." But at the end of the day, the point of this is to, make it into an audiobook, so I really don't wanna leave out information. Um, yeah. Which also I kind of regret when I read the Marilyn Fry, I didn't read all of the notes and all of the, annotations and stuff, because there's stuff listed, but I thought it's you're not supposed to read it. But now I'm I probably should have read it. I'm pretty sure I'll redo the Marilyn Fry in, a year or 2 just because I found it, so freaking powerful and insightful. I think it's the kind of thing that after I read a couple different feminist stuff and, expand my mind in that direction, I'll wanna, come back to it again, and I'll have, different insights from it, you know what I mean? I also think my audiobooking skills have definitely improved in the last 3 months, and I don't think I did a very great job with that book. Um, okay, it sounded like math, my brain censored it, says Kaz. Yeah, what a feel. Okay, so hello clown world, Kaz, Komotasho, possible person. Yeah. Also, I know Aqua and people were there. Julia was there. Michelle was there. I I forgot to link. I don't know. Today's just been a weird day. I slept through my alarm, so I got to work an hour late. Um Aqua says I like that the author was really working the problem regarding data. Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting when I compare it to the rest of the essays in the book, because so far I've kind of been categorizing the essays in, 2 boxes, right? Like, postmodern mumbo jumbo that is, really hard to know, what are you supposed to do with this fucking information, right? And then the other, which is very, applicable, this is an example, and this is how it affected this person, and this is what we did in therapy about it, very, hands-on. This essay, in a lot of ways, I'm okay, first of all, I think it's, a really fucking cool essay and very interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it. But it kind of falls in between the 2, because on one hand, it's, very, very concrete information, right? It's nothing mumbo jumbo or, and nothing, you know? But on the other hand, I'm also what exactly are you supposed to do with this information, in a therapy context? Like, I think it's just kind of opening your mind to this is some stuff to think about rather than this is what you need to do in therapy because this is the new information we have. You know what I'm saying? Um yeah, I feel exactly. Clown World says or Myron whatever. I would call it more of a study than an essay, definitely a new category. Yeah. To me it was more when there's the what do you call it? Sorry, I have a headache. What do you call it when it's no, it's not a synopsis. There's a different word for it. What, outtake? No, that's not the right word. When you read a study, but you don't read the whole study, there's a little blurb about the study. There's a specific word for that. This was kind of a really extended version of that. It was kind of like a layman's explanation of what is this study if you're not in math, if you're not into an abstract. Thank you, bird killed me. It was kind of a really extended abstract. That's what it felt like to me. Um, everyone know. Thank you. All right. Hey, Maple, Michelle, Aqua, bird killed me. All right. Honestly, I haven't had a migraine in a year. And this isn't even a migraine. I think this is a bad headache. Um, I've taken all the NSAIDs and the CBD and I'm hydrating. So what else is there to do? Honestly, um, With my whole going off my medication thing, I have like no pain from that at this point, which I'm so relieved because I thought this week was going to be the worst week. Sunglasses. Um, no, it's okay. I covered most of the lights. My screen isn't that bright. My blue light filter is on and everything. Or I mean, this screen is a blue light filter. I don't fucking know. Whatever. You should have seen me in university though. I got like polarized Ray-Bans and I wore them like every day all day to all my classes. Like I literally told the professors I was like I have to wear this because I have a migraine like all the fucking time. And I would like you can't get Excedrin in Canada. So I would like get it in the US and bring it back. Um but then when I would run out, I would just like get like aspirin, Tylenol and caffeine pills and like take all three cuz it's like that's what Excedrin is. Oh my god. I probably hurt my body pretty badly taking a lot of those medications all the time. If I get a migraine, I go blind. It's freaky. That sucks, bro. Like when I get migraines, I'll see like floaty light colors and stuff. That's a top tip for hiding weed eyes, Benji. The sunglasses. Thanks, Aqua. It's not a migraine. It's just a headache. I think. I don't know. But yeah, I think my reading today was like not so great. Have you tried Motrin Maple? I mean, it's still not great, but it's definitely better for your stomach. All right. So, given the format of this essay, I'm honestly not 100% sure like what there is to discuss. Let's talk a bit, but I'm kind of thinking thanks, Julia. I'm kind of thinking why don't we read the next essay today? Why don't we do like a 10-minute discussion of this? Cuz again, I'm not quite sure what there is to talk about, honestly. Let's check how long the next essay is. What's Motrin? It usually takes how Motrin is like it's technically I think a form of ibuprofen, so it's like Advil, but like I've had a lot of GI issues, and you know how OBGYNs are useless? So when I had like really bad PCOS and like tons of fucking bleeding and pain and cramps and stuff, and when I was having horrible digestive issues at the same time, the doctor was like, "Oh, it's because like you shouldn't be taking Advil. Take Motrin. It's better for your GI." And I was like, "But it's still an NSAID, isn't it? Like it's still an NSAID, but I think it's better for your GI tract than Advil is." Um, Plus, aren't you supposed to? Yeah, yeah, you spelled it the right way. Just like get it off Amazon or something. Aqua says, so black lesbian moms are a little more feminist and freewheeling than the straights. That makes sense. But she did also bring up, she was like, look where I got my participants. And the fact that they were even in the group that she got them from indicates their, right? Indicates they're already more political. Oh my gosh, the next essay is only 6 pages. Yo, we're gonna do 2 essays today. Okay. So we're moving out of the family. This is the last essay in family. The next essay is in therapies. So I think this is more like hands-on. Did you guys see that? Do I put the cat food in the drawer? She like will open the closet. I got cat food on my way home from work. I cleaned my room a slight amount, went to the washroom and stuff. We started the stream, right? As soon as I start the stream, she's like trying to eat the bag of cat food. So I had to like do the thing. Oh, bye, Komatashio. Bye. Um She's not peckish. I literally fed her before we started the stream. She just wants to be a troublemaker. Like she has food in her bowl, but she wants to attack the food. All right. Clown World says, yeah, there would be lots of things to consider before making generalizations about any population from this study, but it's a very good start, and it makes me happy to see a study where the researchers deliberately went completely against the white default thinking that stains a lot of studies. Yes, justice for Momo. She's just like asleep, guys. Um, yeah, it's interesting because after her initial explanation of that exact thing, she literally like speaks about the participants of her study, the black lesbians, as if this is like all lesbians. So she's doing the exact same thing that the white people do. But it's when she does it that I think you, at least I, realize like, oh shit. Like, because I am a white person, right? So I don't like see it from the same perspective as someone who's black, obviously. But I think I just gained a deeper understanding of what it means based on the way the tone she took in her essay, and I really appreciated that. Um, I stand with Momo. Momo, do you feel like you need support? She's like very little, opened her eyes and closed them again. Okay, so something some of you guys brought up and that I made a fucking face about. Well, let's find it actually. Something about sex role behaviors. Here, the children did not of lesbians did not form a transsexual self-image or reject gender appropriate behaviors. So, yeah, yes. Or reject gender appropriate behavior. So to me, honestly, I'm kind of a little bit pissed off with the author just because she doesn't explain what the fuck that means. Like, maybe I even agree with what she's trying to say, but I feel like the language is so vague. I don't know what she's talking about. Like, and it's a little confusing because she says that, but then throughout the essay, she says that lesbian moms expect their daughters to be more I think she used the term masculine, which also I'm like, what exactly do you mean by that? Because she's referring to behavior. I'm like, do you just mean like girls, like in like de facto, girls are trained to be very docile, and that lesbian moms don't train their daughters to be as docile? Like, what does she mean when she says that the lesbian moms are conditioning? Um, exactly. Kaz says the girl cook, boy sit on ass. Exactly. So are they just teaching their kids not to be so like it's just very strange. So on one hand, she says the lesbian moms are treating the daughters more masculine, and they're treating the sons and daughters. They have this very similar. They view their sons and daughters as more similar than straight mothers do. Okay, wouldn't it follow then that they do have more gendered, non-normative behavior, right? I just found that a little bit confusing. I just wish she would have had a paragraph where she went into that a bit more. Um, and also, it's strange because she talks. I don't remember exactly the term she uses, but she uses like Okay, my brain is really not on today. Like that lesbian moms are like more resilient and flexible and blah blah blah. So she seems to be and autonomous and things like this. So she seems to be valuing that in a lesbian mom. But then is that what she's saying? That if their daughters are like that, I don't know, I found it a bit confusing. Also, remember it was brought up in a previous essay. I don't know how many of you come to like all the essays, but that lesbians generally, because they're and again, we need to keep in mind the time period. So this was published in 1987, so the essay was probably written in 85 or 86. So her subjects, if they were all, what was the youngest she had? The straight women were between 21 and 41, right? So that means all of her test subjects were born between the 40s and the 60s. So, right. And in one of the other essays, the author was like theorizing or hypothesizing without any data that lesbians generally have more education because when they like finish high school, instead of thinking they need to like get married and start popping out babies, they're seeking independence more than like becoming part of a family unit at that point in their life. Um so just that generally like lesbians are more career oriented because they're not like de facto family oriented. And in this data here, she has proven that. So I thought that was interesting. Maple says maybe she's more like girls raised by lesbian moms are more comfortable with the masculine role, but not the extent where it comes from. G and C is an alarming way. Yeah, I think that's probably kind of what she was getting at. Maybe I wasn't reading between the lines enough. Okay. I was really surprised about the so the mother's uh how does she terms it here? Mother's interference in their relationships with their fathers. I was really surprised that the lesbians and the heterosexual women had the same. Because to me, the first when I first read that, I thought maybe they were having the same reaction for different reasons. Like maybe the straight mother wants the kids to spend more time with the dad because she's tired, right? Or she sees it's like having a negative effect on their like self-image or something like that. Maybe the lesbian mom wants the kids to spend more time with the dad because she doesn't want to be seen like she's an unfit parent and she's preventing her kids from having a male role model and stuff, right? Like, and on the other hand, I would say like the same thing but in the opposite direction. Like if a straight woman didn't want um didn't want her kids to spend time around the dad, I would say, well, because she lives with the dad and has a relationship with the dad, she probably knows more than anyone what he's capable of. So she's probably trying to protect her. Whereas if a lesbian was trying to keep um her kids away from the like biological father or whatever, I would think it was more of like a social or psychological thing rather than like um a personal relationship thing, you know? So I thought it was like one of you just said, it's like an interesting beginning to the topic, but it definitely feels like a beginning to the topic. That's why I was like, I don't know what much there is to say about it. Um Michelle says perhaps more of the fathers were actually trusted friends to the lesbians. Well, that too, because remember she brings up like a lot of lesbians, the way they have their kid was to like basically have a one night stand with a guy and not tell him that they're trying to get pregnant, and then when they get pregnant, not tell him that he's the father, right? She brings up at some point in the essay that like that's the average way or a common way for lesbians to have kids or something like that. But then in her pool of lesbians, she said all the lesbians knew who the dad was, and only one of them didn't allow contact between the father and the daughter or the kid. Yeah, or turkey baster for sure. Um, yeah. So that was just a bit weird. Tossstone says the male role model BS is always the focus. It always pisses me off. Yeah, exactly. So that's, I think, yeah, the whole thing was just very preliminary because it's like she told us like some of the stuff that's happening, but not like why it's happening, right? Which is really like what I want to know about. And also like just generally the Like, on the second last page, or I guess the last full page, when she's talking about how lesbian moms see their sons and daughters as more similar rather than straight moms who see their sons and daughters as more different, she starts, like, spouting off Freud references to why she thinks that, and I was just like, "Mm." Yeah, I'm like, when people bring up the male role model thing for, like, lesbian moms who have kids, I'm like, what exactly is it that the male role model needs to do? Like, to me, the only thing I can really think of that, like, you should have, like, a man in the picture in some way is that your kids are not, like, scared or, like, unfamiliar or something, like, with interacting with adult men. But, like, even in, like, a school setting, they probably have, like, school teachers who are men and stuff like that. So, like, just, like, I imagine, like, a kids who grew up in, like, a lesbian separatist commune, like, going out into the world and seeing men and being like, "The fuck?" That's, like, what I imagine is, like, the reason that a man might be necessary to have around. But it's like, most people have, like, a brother or, like, a friend or something that comes around, like, every couple months. I'm like, "Isn't that enough? Like, how much man do you need involved in this?" It's, like, probably not much. Okay. Mabel says kids should be scared of adult men, in my opinion. Yeah, but it's, like, a fine line between, like, does your kid have, like, crippling social anxiety, or, like, does your kid just have, like, a safety awareness, you know? Goku can teach them the way. Kamehameha. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie from 2004. No, I have not seen it. Michelle, can you expand on that, please? Michelle says, honestly, it's the biases of the researcher really showing in that essay. It really showed in that essay. Yeah, very true, Mabel. Mabel says, whenever I see a little kid or toddler who can comfortably talk to strange men, especially a little girl, I'm like, oh no, child, I worry for you. Yeah, for sure. Um, Tosta says, I asked my son about this and he said it's crap men everywhere. Okay. Um, Michelle says, this is what makes the social sciences so fraught. It's hard to tell when your base assumptions are absolutely garbage because they are in line with societal expectations. One, so societal expectations of masculine and feminine are indications of how well brought up a child is. Yes, like that's the first thing I brought up. My first, like, I think criticism of the essay, because I was like, I don't really know what that means. Honestly, like I really don't know what it means. I probably whatever it means, I disagree with it. But it's like at least I want to know what the fuck it is so I can disagree with it, you know? Um, but it's kind of, yeah, like gender conformity as like a sign of like wellness generally to me is like super fucked up. Cause it's like, how can you look at the children and be like, we can see based on their gender conforming behavior whether they have good parents or not? But then look at the mothers and be like, they're gender non-conforming and that's fine. How does that make any fucking sense? It's very strange. Um, yes, the transsexual self-image is the term she used. I also found that interesting because maybe she meant like a very like a disconnect between their like perceived, just like some kind of a disconnect in terms of gender specifically, like gender roles or sex stereotypes or something. Um, I have heard that before though, you know. that like if a boy has two moms, he's gonna be like really gay or really feminine or something. I guess she was kind of trying to like address that assumption and be like, there's no proof of this, right? Michelle says, two, working class women are not independent regardless of sexual orientation. Yes. Um, she did briefly bring up that. Oh shit, my train of thought here. Right. She did briefly bring up that black women generally are very independent. So she's like, is what we're seeing here, is this a factor of their orientation or a factor that they're black women, right? But I do agree with you, and I think she would have been good if she could have like asked more questions about that. Um, Michelle says she did not control for economic class where working class was required. Hmm. Michelle says she stuck in the academic professional notion of what women in general do, when in reality it's probably a factor of economic class. Yeah, I agree. Wouldn't it be great if this was like a real field of research that was still being expanded today? Okay. Let's. No, that was the last page, wasn't it? I also think the way she ended the essay was so weird. Because like the last paragraph is like, oh yeah, sometimes there's like extra stuff when it's like lesbian moms who have a son. Maybe there's like a bunch of extra issues to deal with. Okay, the essay's over. Bye. I was like, what a weird way to end the essay. Um, and four, Michelle is going on here. Michelle says, women have been farmers for so long. Is that masculine or feminine, etc. ad nauseum? Yes. Okay. So I recently read Ain't I a Woman by Bell Hooks. She talks a lot about this, like the idea that it's kind of like the Madonna whore complex. There's kind of like a similar thing specifically for black women, depending on which time period you're talking about. So like, are they like basically men because they can do like the men's work, right? Because they are good at farming and stuff. Like they're like historically, as she says in the book, like ancestrally, the women that they took from Africa were from those regions where the women farmed. And the women were expected to like, be childbearers and homekeepers and farmers at the same time. So this was viewed as like masculinity, right? Whereas at the same time, they were like so sexually objectified that it was like unmentionable, like because it was so ubiquitous that they were so sexually objectified that they had like this like hyper femininity association. So it's like they kind of like society treats them like radically different depending on like only context. And the whole thing is basically stupid and pointless and like makes it has no grounding in reality and only grounding in stereotypes. So um I was thinking of that. I honestly I listened to it as an audiobook, and I don't think that I think when I read stuff like with words, it sticks with me a little better. So I kind of had some remembrance of like this topic of her talking about it, but couldn't remember like specific things that I thought were like relevant to the way that this essay was um explaining stuff. But I do think I was like, what does she mean by masculinity? Because again, she's talking specifically about black women. So I was like, on one hand, I think I think what she's trying to say is, you know, all this other literature is written only about white women and it's applied to everyone. So I'm going to do that about black women um as like a counterbalance, which is okay. But then I feel like specifically this masculinity, I really really wish she had defined it, because what does it mean? Like, it's like you were saying, Michelle, she seems to have brought a lot of, like, societal bias into the essay or the study. And I'm like, did she bring that one? Or is she talking about something else? Like, I don't know, right? Sounded like a phone signal noise. Oh, I mean, yeah, but everything I'm getting is Wi-Fi. It's like emails and Facebook messages and stuff. Um, yeah. Anyway, it was interesting. Okay. Let us go to the next essay. I'll see you guys in a sec. Okay, bye. Maybe Momo's communicating with her home planet. Yeah, Momo. Are you from Venus? All the other pussycats? Okay. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do the next essay. See you in a sec. Bye.